I'll just be honest with you, it's going to be hard. There are certain days that you wake up and you be like, no, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. But as soon as you see the check in your bank account, you'll be like, okay, I'll try one more time.
Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to another episode. So like I keep saying, I am always going to bring these tech gurus or folks that have been in the tech industry for a long time now, and we're going to interview them and then get to know their journey and how they got into the tech industry, what they did different from what you're doing right now, just to help you out a lot, just in case you want to get into the tech industry as well. So today, I do have my brother here who is going to share with us his journey on how he got into the tech industry. I'm not going to give out his name or whatever he does. I am going to actually have him do it by himself. So without further waiting, let's get to it. All right, guys. So like I was saying, I have my brother here and he's going to talk about his journey into the tech industry. Like I said, I am not going to introduce him. I would have him do it by himself. And then we would actually dive a lot deeper into, how he got in there, some of the hardship that he's facing. And I know a lot of you probably want to know about this, the elephant in the room, the money. So we'll get to that part in a bit. So without wasting much time, hey, what's up, boss? How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. You?
Nice. I'm good. So today we just want to ask you a couple of questions, right? I know you're my friend, right? And I know that you've been in the tech industry for a bit, but we just want to, get a little bit deeper on how you got into the tech industry, like what you did different from anybody else that's here. One, I always talk about the fact that you have to put in a lot of discipline if you want to get into the tech industry. But today, we want to know your journey. What were you doing before tech? How you got into tech, how it's going right now, some of the difficulties that you're facing. But before we get to all that, can you tell us your name, what you do, where you're from, that type of stuff?
Okay, thank you for this. My name is Jude Nyan. I'm basically a server administrator with one of America's big consulting companies, which typically, when I say a Tableau server administrator, which typically is like a BI administrator, which a BI is basically business intelligence tools that we manage. So typically, what we do is we manage the servers to make sure that it's up and running for our users to typically get engaged to the content that they are supposed to get exposed to and also work with it. So
okay. So just so anybody else watching in layman terms, so basically what you do is, I guess people build dashboards when it comes to BI, and then you publish or maintain the dashboards for them?
That's correct.
Okay, and make sure that kind of like the server is up and running all the time so they can access it.
That's correct.
So in IT, I think people would say that's kind of like the CIA triad, like making sure that availability is there for them to be able to use it. Okay, that works. So before getting into server administration, right, what were you doing before that?
My journey has been a bit, I would say, a lengthy one. So basically, way back in school, I used to do visual art. So as you all know, we draw. So in Ghana, everybody knows visual art is all about drawing. So my background was basically from visual art, which I transitioned to the tertiary where I did business administration, focusing much more into banking and finance. After that, I went into the banking domain, worked for the banking industry for a little bit. After that's when I basically migrated to the United States. When I came to the United States, I pretty much started from the scratch. As you all know, even though you're a banker in Ghana, you will not get a chance to be a banker in America. So I had to start from the scratch. And when I say scratch, I was typically working as a warehouse associate. And I remember the first day starting work, I said to myself that, why would I leave my banking job to come to America to work in a warehouse? That was something that I had to process for some time. But, I said to myself that even though there's going to be a start afresh, I'm still going to take the risk. Those certain days I wanted to go back to Ghana to go continue my career in banking. But, I decided to stay. Okay. So I did a bit of retail before. So when I say retail, typically working for a couple of stores like Kmart. My last retail job was with Boss Discount Furniture. Where I was, with that place, I typically went through various positions from a warehouse associate to a warehouse manager to an office manager. I went through all those roles to basically grow up to that level. pretty much that's what I
That's
did.
kind of like the journey. And just to make sure that we get kind of like get a global or an umbrella view of what you were talking about, right? So you basically did some sort of quote unquote, excuse me if I say this, some sort of menial jobs before you got to where you are right now. So at Borb's Discount Furniture, which is what you were talking about right now, you said you moved to various roles, right? So I'm guessing you moved from Bob and then you went into the IT industry.
Yes.
Okay, so you were talking about how in Ghana, when you were back home in Ghana, right? Which he's from Ghana, by the way. I'm from Ghana too, if you do not know. We are from Ghana. When you were in Ghana doing banking and finance and you came here to America to, you know, I guess get the better life, land of opportunities or whatever, did you go to school here too?
Yes, so I did my bachelor's in Ghana, but I did my master's degree in University of Maryland Global Campus.
Okay, what did you major in?
Yeah, I majored in accounting and information system.
Okay.
Because I had a background in business administration, I decided to combine both information system and accounting to.
Okay, so it was your goal to actually get into the information technology side of things.
Yes, that was my goal.
Okay. So now to the most important part. What was that transition moment? Because you said you were working at Bob's Discount Furniture, right? While you were doing that, were you actually studying, I guess, anything that has to do with server management? Or what was that moment that you actually transitioned from you working at Bob's Discount Furniture over to you working into the IT industry right now?
Okay, so you know, going through school, you know, my goal was to be an information system analyst.
Okay.
Typically going more into the security aspect of IT.
Okay.
But you know, after completing school, it became a bit of tussle, which was, you know, most of the roles required you to be a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
At that time, I wasn't a U.S. citizen yet.
Okay.
So it took a bit of time, you know, not getting any interviews, you know, trying to go for job fairs and every all other stuff, but still that wasn't working out for me. Yeah, that was the journey that.
Okay. So is there like a point at Bob's Discount where you felt as though that, hey, I'm done with this, where you know, I'm gonna quit Bob, or I'm gonna actually study and get into the information technology industry? Or did something happen that transitioned you from, because most of the time, the reason why I ask this is a lot of people would call me and then ask, hey Albert, I want to get into the IT industry, I want to do this, I want to do that, I don't want to do anything technical, I want to do technical stuff, but then they are not disciplined enough to go from point A to point B, right? Because you would give them the resources that they need, but then at the end of the day, they do not take that leap of faith saying that, okay, if I'm working 9 to 5 at this current job that I'm working at, after I'm done with my 9 to 5, I'm actually going to spend some time to actually study, right? And actually study and make sure that I'm bettering myself to get into whatever sector of IT that I want to get into. So with you, what was that moment that you knew very well that, hey, I am tired. I can't be doing this Bob's Discount Furniture job anymore. Like, I'm tired. I need to, you know, better myself. I need to do better. I need to make more money, right? That type of stuff. What was that moment for you?
Okay, so pretty much with Bob, I would say Bob was one of the companies that I really wanted to work for.
Okay.
For the longest time.
Okay.
So I had a couple of discussions with my regional manager, talking about opportunities on going to the corporate side to IT. You know, even though they knew me to be the IT guy in the office, you know, I do all sort of stuff. I got an opportunity to interview at a corporate office, but unfortunately,
you didn't get it.
I was told that I didn't have much IT experience, so you know, I wasn't offered a job, and I was told that, you know, I should just hang on. They're gonna open up some
entry level
roles, so that they will bring me on board. I was like, okay.
They never have entry level roles.
I'm still gonna hang around.
Yeah.
So the turning point was when we got hit by COVID. Where unfortunately we had to be laid off of work. That was the point that I realized that, okay, so I guess this is it. My job here is done.
Okay.
I need to think of moving on to the next step.
Okay.
So that was the turning point that I had, where I decided to, you know, take some boot camp. In you know, it's a whole kind of package, including SSRS, Tableau, you know, all sort of business intelligence to bootcamp. So I did that, and you know, the struggle was real. No interviews. You get interviews, and you know, you get bounced and all those stuff. That was pretty much difficult thing to do, but you know, with time, the opportunity came and I got an offer.
Okay.
That was
So on the boot camp part, which I know a lot of people talk about boot camps when it comes to getting into the IT industry, right? Because most of the time when you go to college, what I've seen is that with the brick and mortar colleges or the online colleges, they don't really go in depth into the actual practical. They teach you more, let's say, on the theory side of things, right? But with boot camps, right? With the boot camp that you took, was it more practical or was it more of, let's say, a mix of the theory and the practical, type of thing?
So it was pretty much about giving you the feel of the job. Typically it was about practical thing. You are given a scenario, and they tell you, okay, when you're given this scenario, this is how you're supposed to work on and get a result.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of day-to-day practical activities that we did.
You worked on. Okay, and I know I see a lot of people online, either on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, that type of stuff, and they talk about how they're paying about $10,000, $15,000, $5,000 just to join a boot camp that, at the end of the day, they probably do not get a job for. Or at the end of the day, they actually heard somebody saying that, hey, get into the IT industry. So they paid that amount of money, they got in there, they realized it's not something that they want, and they didn't get a refund. They wasted the money, right? But with your story, it looks like it's something that you actually benefited from. So how much was the boot camp, if you don't mind?
I think it was about $2,500.
Okay. Oh, at that time, which was COVID around 2019?
Yeah.
Okay. So around 2019, you paid $2,500, and whoever gave you that boot camp is probably good, because most people now pay about $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 just for a boot camp. And most of the time, there's something that I always say, right? When you're going, or before you take any boot camp, make sure that you research on what that boot camp is about, or make sure it's something that you actually do love before you spend $10,000 on it. Because I wouldn't want to take a Python boot camp, right? Knowing very well that I don't really like coding. I don't really like scripting, coding, any of those stuff, right? So I wouldn't take a Python bootcamp, because if I know if I take it, I'm gonna waste my money. Because at the end of the day, yes, I could do it if I put in the work, but it's not something that I really love to do, right? So I always say that you as an individual, research on whatever it is that you want to do before you go into these boot camps and waste your money. So I'm guessing with yours, like I said, you didn't waste your money. But now let's come to, so we moved from Bob's discount, now you took a boot camp and then you got the job, right?
Correct.
From the point where you finished that boot camp, how long did it take for you to get the job?
It took pretty much about a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Getting interviews, getting no interviews.
Yeah.
The stress that you go through. At a certain point, I gave up.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, I gave up, and one of my teachers, which basically he's my mentor, encouraged me that that wasn't the end of it. It's all part of the process.
Exactly.
You sometimes get fed up of the whole stress.
Yeah.
But I picked myself up, and that paved the way for me.
Okay, so and I'm laughing because sometimes people will take boot camps, right, and they feel like it's magic or it's some automatic job placement thing where when you're done with this 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, or whatever amount of days or months that you take these boot camp for, they feel as though that when you're done with the boot camp, you're supposed to get a job the next week, right? That's literally what some people think. That's why sometimes people will spend about $10,000 knowing very well that, hey, I spent $10,000, why am I not getting a job? That type of thing is like, I've spent all this money, I'm not getting a job, what's going on? It's like I'm dumb. I just want to let you know that you're not dumb, right? And sometimes it balances out the job market. And I always tell people this as well, and I might be wrong, but this is what I've observed. Most of the time when you take these boot camps, companies tend to hire a bit more during the quarter one, the Q1 part, right? Because at that time, they've actually approved on the budget, new projects that you're going to do, what resources they'll need for the project. So at that time, you have these HR folks who will be reaching out to people that, hey, do you have this experience? Do you have this experience? So around, let's say, ending of December to March, that's when I normally would recommend that people should really intensely apply for jobs. Not to say that these other months you'll not be getting the job, you will, but I'm just saying this is what I've observed, which would help you out a lot. So when you got the job, it took you 1 whole year. Wait, what were you doing in that 1 year? Like, were you working?
I was pretty much doing different kind of jobs, DoorDash, Uber.
Oh my God.
I was just sitting at home.
Yeah.
Eating my mom's food.
So there's something that I always say, right? So, and this hits every single individual in the tech industry. When you started, or when you got done with that boot camp and you were not getting the jobs, how was that feeling where you have an interview and you know very well that, damn, I know I aced this interview. I cracked the interview. I did everything I was supposed to do. You feel good about yourself, and you get that message where it's like, we move to another candidate. How was that feeling for you?
That feeling, it's a bit tough. I remember I had one interview for a project with Apple.
Okay.
The interview went great. I knew that, okay, this was it.
Yeah.
The recruiter called me, hey Jude, you did great, we're gonna send the offer. It took about a week and the offer wasn't coming. So I called the recruiter back, I was like, hey,
what's going on?
I'm still waiting for the offer, what's going on? That's when he told me, the project got canceled, so
Oh my God.
unfortunately they can't bring me on board. I was like, what? I had all this hope that I got this job, and I was just waiting for my offer.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Wow. Yeah. I think this happens literally with everybody, right?
Right.
And sometimes you feel like, oh yeah, I really aced this interview, and then a week or two after you get that email, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm starting all over again. And I say this because I also took a boot camp as well, similar to the boot camp that you took. But when I started getting these job offers, and they will tell you, hey, you're gonna get the job offer, and at some point you feel like, oh yeah, I got this job offer. I'm okay. I'm not gonna have any interviews or whatever. And you're like, boom, it comes in like, oh, you didn't get this job. It's just mind blowing and crazy. But one other thing too that I would like to talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? I stated that. I always say that from 2019, 2020, 2021, and then the early part of 2022, which was kind of like, I would say, COVID, the COVID time. I always, not to say that people cannot get jobs right now, but I always say that if you could not get into the IT industry from 2019, 2020, 2021, and then the early part of 2022, now it becomes very difficult. And I always say this because now you have folks who were laid off from Facebook, Google, Meta, like they call it now, Twitter, all these Fortune 500 companies, and you're competing with somebody who, how do I even put it? You're competing with somebody who built Twitter. You're competing with somebody who built this AI bot system with Facebook or whatever the case is, right? So it becomes very difficult if you want to get into the IT industry as a fresher, right? So I always talk about, or I always keep emphasizing on the fact that you should have projects that you can prove to these recruiters or these interviewers that, hey, this is what I've done. I know my job. I know my skills. I have the skill set to do this job. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much that is what it is.
Yeah.
These days, it's a bit difficult to end up with any IT role.
Yeah.
Because as you said, a lot of companies laid off.
Yeah.
Most experienced people. My company, for instance, laid off about 19,000 people.
Jesus Christ.
So imagine you getting into a market of along with 19,000 experienced people.
Exactly.
It becomes very difficult for you to pave your way through that.
Exactly.
So it's pretty much a bit rough out there, but that doesn't mean you can't get a role. It all depends on your preparation towards your interviews. Proving a point that you are better than the others.
Yeah.
Even though you might not have the experience yet, but it's all about how you be able to sell yourself out there.
True.
Pretty much.
So now let's move into your actual job role, right? On your job, you talk about how you maintain the service, make sure the servers are always up, make sure that people can access their servers and, publish their dashboards like you were saying, and also make sure that, the availability is there. What are some of the challenging parts of your job? Just in case anybody out there watching us wants to get into the server admin side of things, we can put some information. You can put some comments in the comment section, right? And we'll be sure to answer those questions for you. But what are some of the difficult parts of your job?
So companies these days try to hire you, and even though they hire you as a Tableau server administrator, they expect you to do more than just Tableau.
Okay.
So from my side, after I joined my team, I had to pick up other BI tools.
Okay.
In addition to what I do, and also pick up other Oracle infrastructure component.
Okay.
Which means that I was managing Oracle servers as well.
Okay.
Even though I was brought on board as a Tableau server administrator.
Okay.
So pretty much you need to have the mindset of you going out there and getting ready to learn other stuff.
Wow.
Because companies are trying to be smart.
Yeah.
They hire you and they want you to do the job of about 2 or 3 people.
So besides you being just a server admin, you do other stuff. And I always call him the DevOps engineer. I feel like whatever he does, he's not a server admin, he's a DevOps engineer. Because you literally do everything like Jenkins, right? Oracle. Sometimes you even do like dashboards and stuff like that. So they hired you to actually, on the job description, right, or the JD, it stated that you were going to be a Tableau server admin specifically.
Right.
But then the moment that you got in, they're like, hey, can you learn this? Can you learn that? Can you learn this? And I'm guessing with the struggles that you've been through, you were like, I'll just learn it rather than quit and go find another job.
Right.
Man, I don't know.
I mean, pretty much, it's actually good for me. It helped me a lot.
Okay.
It actually gave me the opportunity to get exposed to other infrastructures that I didn't have no idea about.
Okay.
For instance, I got exposed to Oracle. I got better with my Linux. Usually I was just a Windows guy, but because of the team that I joined, I got opportunity to learn much more about Linux.
Okay.
I did other BI tools like BI Cognos. It's also one of the famous BI tools that's being used out there. Also got exposed to Informatica.
Okay. Oh, nice.
So on ETL too. So, even though they bring you on board, they'll tell you, hey, the JD says you'll be a Tableau server administrator. Just know that you do more than
you probably do more than that.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about the elephant in the room, which I know a lot of people watching this right now will probably say, how much do server admins make? I want to get into the IT industry. Because most of the time, people want to get into the IT industry because of the money, right? I mean, it's obvious. People, the passion is there, but sometimes it's literally really about the money. So now let's talk about that. As a server admin, right? I don't need you to tell me the exact amount of money that you make, which I know he makes a lot of money. Yeah. He drives a Ferrari. I'm just kidding. But I know you do make, quite a good amount of money, right? Ask my friend, I know him personally, but as a server admin, you doing all these stuff. Can you give us a range? Like, if somebody should come on board, take a boot camp, come on board, right? How much can the person look at making, kind of like a range, basically?
Typically it's a 6-figure role.
Okay.
So you're looking somewhere around 120 to 150K.
Okay, let's hold on there. So you've been making $120,000 to 150. Remember how I said he's very smart. So if you're making $120,000, let me do that calculator because I don't make that amount of money. $120,000. That's like literally your gross income after taxes will probably be about $3,300, $3,400. So monthly, you're looking at making $6,800. Right. Jesus Christ, dude, you're smart. God, he's making the money. All right, and that's 120K. So if you're making 150K, you're looking at making $30,000 extra. But for you to make that amount of money, this is one thing that I always talk about: discipline, right?
Yeah.
It's not a walk in a park. So, and I'll have him talk about this as well, right? Most of the time, I would contact him. I'll be like, hey, bro, what are you doing right now? And he's like, I'm on call. He has to work till 8 p.m. Sometimes you have to work weekends to do patches. All these different stuff that he has to put in, the discipline that he had to put in after he got done with the boot camp, the studying, everything else, right? It all feeds into you making this money right now because you actually put in the work for you to be able to make that money. So the reason why I say that is a lot of people feel like it's magic. If you want to get into the IT industry, it's like automatic. I take a boot camp, I get the job, I make 6 figures, I'm done, right? What are some of the difficulties that you face when it comes to like discipline? Because most of the time you have to study, right? You have to better yourself. Most companies, let's say, would be using, let me use this as an example. Most companies used to use data centers, right? Like the Ashburn data centers, all these stuff, right? And now most companies are moving more to hybrid or they're going fully cloud, right? So if you're a network engineer and you used to connect, had 5 cables, blah, 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 all those stuff, at some point in time, if your company is going full cloud, it's either you better yourself and learn AWS, Azure, Google Cloud or whatever, or you probably lose your job, right? So you're getting into the IT industry, and I'm talking to anybody out there watching us who wants to get into the IT industry. If you're not disciplined enough to make sure that you're going to better yourself every single year or every single time, then at some point in time, whatever tool that you were used to or is probably going to be obsolete. People are not going to use it anymore, right? Like they're literally not going to use it. So with you, how long do you spend, I guess, in a week trying to study new tools or get yourself acclaimed to new stuff that's coming on board in the IT industry?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. it's like every day is a learning process for you. Literally, I try to get myself abreast with new tools. And for my company, it's a requirement to get at least one cloud certification every year. So it's always a learning process, trying to learn AWS, Microsoft Azure, Oracle Cloud. So typically, like every day or every time, you need to upgrade yourself with your knowledge. You need to learn something new.
Wow. So yeah, like I was saying, it's not a walk in the park. If you're watching us and you want to get into the IT industry, I always say that it requires a lot of discipline, and it does require a lot of self-study. You cannot take a boot camp for every single tool that you have to study. You'll be wasting a lot of money. So you have to be disciplined, and you have to be ready to put in the work. If that does not work for you, or if you analyze yourself and you don't have the time, and people feel like whenever I say this, I'm being mean or whatever, but I'm not. If you don't have the discipline and you don't have the time to actually study, sit down and study, unless you have some sort of out of this world IQ where you can literally pick up information this fast, if you're not ready to put in the work, then it's not for you. I'm just gonna be honest. If you're not ready to put in the work and study and know very well that you're disciplined to learn new tools, to move up, to better yourself, then the IT industry might not be for you, because it is a lot of work. A lot of work. Because most of the time when he is on call, I can call him like, hey, let's play FIFA. Bro, I'm on call, man. I have to do this patching. He might be sleeping at 2 a.m. and he gets a call. Like literally, there's an issue. He has to take care of that issue. And I'm not gonna even go too deep into it. I'm gonna have him talk about it. What has been that worst moment where they called you and you literally had to stay up all night to work?
Yeah, I think about 2 days ago.
Oh, Lord.
When my boss had to call me around 2:15 a.m. To tell me, hey, Jude, there's an issue with the service. Can you please wake up and take care of it?
Oh, my God.
I was like, what, at 2 a.m.? Yeah, he was like, I'm sorry, Jude, but you have to take care of it. I was like, okay, why don't you also take care of it? He was like, Jude, you know you have to do it. And, I had to stay awake till 6 a.m. to resolve all those issues and get the service up and running.
And did you work that following day too?
Yes, I had to work again that following morning at 8 a.m.
Oh my God.
It's a bit challenging. You need to make a lot of sacrifices, your personal time. And unfortunately, most of these hours are free hours that you work for the company.
Yeah.
You don't get paid, so.
Exactly.
But it's all about your dedication and commitments to the job.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, right, I think once you put in that work, at the end of the day, it becomes rewarding if you're making 150,000, 120,000. Because, I mean, hey, if you're putting in that amount of work, I mean, so long as it's not, messing up with your mental health, right? So long as it's not messing up with your mental, but as Africans, our mental health is money. If we have money, exactly. As Africans, our mental health is money. If we have the money, our mental health is perfectly fine, because everything we do involves some sort of money, right? So we need that money. So basically, at the end of the day, no matter how stressed out you are, once the paycheck hits the account on a Friday or on a Thursday, you take that deep breath that, okay, I can go for another 2 weeks, technically.
Yeah. There are certain days that you wake up and you be like, no, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. But as soon as you see the check in your bank account, you be like, okay, I'll try one more time.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so just to kind of like cut everything, the long story short, right? Somebody wanting to get into the IT industry right now, what would be your number one advice to somebody out there who wants to get into the IT? Talk to them. Like, what would be your advice for anybody that's out there that's literally thinking, hey, I want to get into the IT industry. I want to study. I know I could do this. I really want to do this. And they don't have, I guess, that discipline, that time, that motivation to actually do it. What is one thing that you would tell them since you've been through it?
I would just say it's all about your commitment, your dedication, to make time to study, prepare for your interviews, try to watch more of interviews done by other people, and also, try to, upgrade your knowledge. I would say, put it that way, upgrade your knowledge. Not just because you did, let's say, Tableau in your bootcamp, you're just gonna stick with Tableau. You need to know about AWS. You need to, because most of these companies are actually moving to cloud right now. So you having much knowledge or a bit knowledge about what cloud is puts you apart from other interviewers. So it's always good to make time. I'll just be honest with you, it's gonna be hard. there are certain days that you would want to give up, but I'll just encourage you not to give up, continue going, and you will definitely make it.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, guys, so I do hope that we did give you some great gems today. Like I always say, every Sunday I am going to bring somebody on board who's going to share his story as to how he got into the IT industry, what it did, the struggles that he went through, and of course, the money, which I know a lot of people talk about, which is the money, okay? But like I said, I do hope that we gave you some great gems again. Till I see you again, you stay blessed, be blessed, and God bless. Peace.